The splendor of expensive destinations has its appeal, but let's face it, the more expensive a place is, the more you have to adjust the length of your trip and your activities there to stretch your dollar. The world is full of affordable destinations, and it doesn't require much effort to find them. There's something to be said about an inexpensive destination that offers you lodging and food for the same price, in which you could buy a movie ticket back home. So, let us take a look at the top 10 budget-friendly locations in the world. Join us on our journey around the world by subscribing to our channel. Please click the bell icon to get notified when we publish a new video. Number 1. The Baltic States. Often overlooked on the European travel trail, you will find these three small Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania tucked between the Nordic countries and Russia. The best reason to visit these countries is that they are Scandinavia on a budget. If you squint your eyes, and the Baltics may very well remind you of Finland with its many woodlands, peat bogs, lakes, and log cabins painted in deep red. The people are similarly fond of cross-country skiing, saunas, and vodka. One key difference is that the costs are just a third of what you might find in the Nordics. So, if you want to enjoy them, then a mid-range budget of around $70 per day would be good enough for you, with accommodations costing you around $29 per night. Transport will add another $10. The rest can be spent on food, and that is more than enough. Number 2. Cambodia. Cambodia is the best known for being the home to Angkor Wat, the largest religious monument in the world. Even this world-renowned destination is incredibly affordable to visit. You can just hop on a tuk-tuk, open motorcycle taxi, to reach your destination, buy a temple ticket, and explore until your heart's content for just pennies. Hiring a tuk-tuk for the entire day will cost you the equivalent of a 15-minute taxi ride in New York City. But Cambodia has much more to offer than stunning ancient temples. The capital, Phnom Penh, is filled with beautiful French colonial architecture, cheap French bakeries. For the price of a Starbucks coffee, you can have a meal at a nice restaurant in Cambodia, and a modern, comfortable room at a nice hotel will likely be cheaper than a shared hostel room in Europe. But don't think of saving even more money by drinking tap water there. It is sure to give you an infection. But if even these costs aren't low enough for you, then you should go during any time but the cool dry seasons, which runs from November to February, which is a high tourist season. A mid-range budget ranges around $45 a day. Number 3. Nepal. Unless you are planning a full guided trek up Mount Everest, which is not a cheap venture, Nepal is incredibly cheap. The best thing is that you can still enjoy plenty of trekking and even climbing for just pennies. Even the long 11-day hike in Langtang Valley will set you back a couple of $100, a quarter of what a trek to the Everest base camp would be. But once again, Nepal isn't only great for its hiking adventures. There are a lot of Buddhist temples that you can visit, and the local food and handicrafts are similarly amazing. The cost of living is also pretty cheap, and you will be able to find decent lodging and good food at a minimum cost. But if you are intent on going hiking, then avoid going in the low season, as the months between mid-June and mid-September mean lots of rain, potential flooding, and sometimes dangerous landslides that block trails and make hiking impossible. In addition to that, the weather is also really misty, which means poor visibility and no breathtaking mountain views. A backpacker's budget ranges around $20, while a mid-range budget is around $40 a day. Number 4. South Korea. South Korea is a country that is not talked about enough when it comes to tourism options. It is undoubtedly one of the greatest undiscovered travel destinations in the world. The price rivals that of Southeast Asia. It is high-tech, the food is mind-blowingly delicious and eclectic, the countryside is beautiful, and the nightlife is just plain amazing. In addition to all this, you can even hit a beach in Korea. Busan, the second largest city in the country, has a coastline with some of the most beautiful resorts and beaches in the country. A Korean barbecue complete with drinks would cost you around $8, and you can pick up bottles of beer in a 7-Eleven for less than $1. The trains are also pretty cheap, plus it is all different and fun. Well, after all, with the South Korean currency at 1,188 won per dollar, you are going to have a pretty good time at the lowest costs possible. Number 5. Morocco. Morocco is one of those countries that can cost you a lot of money or be incredibly cheap, depending on the choices you make. For example, visiting the famous Marrakesh Bazaar can get pricey, especially if you are after hand-woven rugs or painted glass. But if you can haggle as your life depends on it, you will walk with some budget treasures. Inner-city first-class train rides in Morocco will cost you about the same as you would pay for a metro ride in the West. Even better, you don't need to pay for a guide at any of the major attractions, such as the Royal Sadian's tomb or the 12th century Menara Gardens, as they are either easy to discover on your own or an English-speaking guide is included in the price of the ticket. You can go for the local specialties for cheap eating, such as Kab el Ghazal, a crescent-shaped cookie stuffed with almond paste, the slow-cooked Moroccan stew tagine, or couscous served in many different forms. If you avoid the peak season, you will find lower-priced accommodations, and you can spend plenty of time walking through places like White and Blue Rabbit's Odiesh Kabash neighborhood or the dusty trails of the Rif Mountains at no cost. A good travel budget per day from Morocco is around $60 a day, but for a backpacker, it is around $40 a day. Number 6, Bolivia. Bolivia is often passed on for more famous neighbors, Peru and Brazil, but this country, located at the heart of the Andean mountain range, has an impressive collection of sights to discover. It is a multi-ethnic country with 36 official languages and an ecosystem that varies from the desert llanos to the polar mountains in the western Andes. Many of Bolivia's famous sites are free to visit, including Lake Titicaca on the border of Bolivia and Peru, several pre-Columbian archaeological sites, Salt Lake Laguna Verde at the foot of a volcano, and Salar del Uyuni, the world's largest salt. Trekking in the Valle de Luna is an experience to remember, and the protected areas charge no entry fee. Well, walking through the tall stone spires and the colorful mountainsides in shades of reds and browns and even dark violets beats almost any desert hike in the world. Food transportation and accommodation in Bolivia costs a fraction of the prices you will find in other South American countries, and these are even cheaper during April and May. You can get by on about $20 a day, but if you want to enjoy your day, then a budget of $45 per day is good enough. However, different cities have different rates, so you would need to adjust your budget accordingly. Number 7, Portugal. With good bus, tram, and train connection, it's easy to travel around Portugal without spending money. While Lisbon can be slightly more expensive, eating and entertainment everywhere else in the country are very budget-friendly. Even popular famous beach destinations, such as Camilo Beach in the Algarve, can be visited on a shoestring if you plan your trip well and don't need to sleep right on the beach. The winter season also brings great discounts, especially if you are heading to cities. With temperatures around 15 degrees Celsius in January, Portugal is never truly cold. Most of Portugal's must-see attractions are in Lisbon and Sintra, which you will find things like the medieval defensive Belém Tower, the Gothic Jerónimos Monastery, and the public square Parque do Comércio, surrounded by shops and cafes. Sintra is home to many places and castles, including the hilltop medieval castle of the Moors, so do not miss out on those. In general, a visit to Portugal is more about enjoying the local food, walking along the coastline, and discovering the sights, which will keep your costs low and allow you to see more of the country on a tight budget. This might be a little on the higher end, but you can expect to spend around $128 per day on your vacation, with $38 on food, $5 on local transport, and the rest would go to hotels. Number 8, Thailand. Thailand is the travel hub of Southeast Asia. Most visitors coming into the region fly into Bangkok and make it their base for doing the circuit as they backpack across Southeast Asia. It is one of the most visited countries in the region, and with good reason. With its lush jungles, famed beaches, world-class diving, amazing food, friendly and cheap prices, it is by far a tourist paradise. You can get by on between $25 to $30 a day thanks to cheap guest houses, food, local buses, and cheap or free attractions. If you spend all your time on the islands and inexpensive accommodation, expect to pay closer to $50 a day. However, even at this price, Thailand is still one of the most bargain destinations in the world. Number 9, China. China has fascinated travelers since Marco Polo traversed the Silk Road. While the days of China being a super cheap destination are long gone, the country remains a budget destination. To save money, you would need to get out of the cities, but even their hostels cost around $20 a day. Food is $2 to $5 per meal, and the local transportation in cities run less than $1. The Chinese culture and cuisine are unique, and you should not miss out on the amazing experience. Some of the famous places to visit are, of course, the Forbidden City and the Great Wall of China. You should also visit the Terracotta Army in Xi'an, Another great activity is visiting the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding in Sichuan, but do try to schedule a visit during the morning feeding sessions as pandas are the most active at that time. Number 10. Indonesia. People associate Indonesia with Bali, a beautiful resort island, but the Indonesian archipelago is wider than the United States and offers a whole world to discover. Consider Bali's neighboring islands of Lombok and Java, the spectacular Komodo Islands, and rural Flores, or go further into Sumatra, West Nusa Tenggara, or Sulawesi. From white sand beaches to jungles and savannas, and from blue flame-spewing volcanoes to remote rainforests where you can meet orangutans in the wild, Indonesia is a budget traveler's dream. It is possible to live on less than $1 a day, but for a more comfortable trip, keep around $50 per day. The food is extremely cheap and tasty. Do try the satay and fried rice. Well, that is all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed the video. Do leave us a comment or a like if you did enjoy the video. And before you start packing for your trip or booking your stay, consider looking at some of my other videos too. See you later.